5 minutes, revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman from Texas is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, recently at a town hall meeting, Dottie from Andrews, Texas, and I won't give her last name, came to me and said that she did not attend a town hall, a tea party in the area because she was afraid of the Department of Homeland Security would have agents there taking down names and taking pictures. Well, Madam Speaker, I rise today to reassure my constituent, Dottie from Andrews, that while Secretary Napolitano may be guilty of bad judgment bordering on negligence, she does not really consider her to be a domestic terrorist. Nor do I believe the Secretary has unleashed the multitude of resources, assets, tools, and weapons of the Department of Homeland Security against her or me. Dottie, like many individuals across my district and throughout the nation, was at first surprised and then angered to learn that the Department of Homeland Security's new definition of a right-wing terrorist sounded a lot like her. To quote the recently released Homeland Security memo, many right-wing extremists are antagonistic toward the presidential administration and its perceived stance on a range of issues, including immigration, citizenship, the expansion of social programs to minorities, and the restriction on firearms ownership and use. In a ham-handed fashion, the memo further defines the department's view of right-wing extremists to include the great many Americans who believe that gun owners have constitutional rights protected by the Second Amendment, and that our national values are not something to be bartered with for international agreements, that the immigration policy in our nation is a failure, and that we are mortgaging the future to fund today's spending spree that we can never repay. It then goes on to single out returning war veterans as individuals who warrant special government attention because they are especially susceptible to these extreme views. If these are the position of extremists, Madam Speaker, then I am an extremist. I'm extreme in my belief that our Constitution protects law-abiding citizens from being treated like criminals. I am extreme in my belief that our nation's sovereignty and the values are not up for negotiation or debate with international thugs and 21st century socialists. I am extreme in my belief that the federal government is failing the American people every day that we don't control our borders. I am extreme in my belief that we are running unsustainable deficits and selling future generations of Americans into indentured servitude in order to score political points today. And I'm extreme in my belief that our veterans deserve our humble gratitude and prayers, not police scrutiny. Secretary Napolitano's crass misunderstanding of the concerns of conservative Americans is not only embarrassing, but it detracts from her department's ability to protect America. Her report is riddled with anecdotal evidence and pointlessly broad generalizations. It is a listing of long-established facts about racist organizations, anti-government militias, and other fringe radicals. Any memo that relates the members of these fringe organizations with individuals who hold conservative political beliefs will serve only to confuse law enforcement personnel and alarm the public. Where there are public safety concerns, these should be communicated in a precise and meaningful manner. Otherwise, the administration should stop antagonizing and profiling its innocent citizens. In its rush to placate the New York Times editorial board and MoveOn.org, the Obama administration is continuing to show itself to be tone-deaf on the issues that matter most to Americans and illiterate in basic conservative principles. The administration's actions are rightly a cause for concern for me and my constituents. While the Democrats have earned the right to pursue their agenda, no American citizen lost their right to question that agenda. I should not be here on the floor today making reassurances to the people in my district, but the language of this administration has consistently been dismissive of principled opposition to its policies and now appears as though it is openly hostile to it. In the future, I urge the administration to pick its words more carefully and remember that it governs all America, not simply those who agree with it. I urge Secretary Napolitano to issue an official clarification of the administration's position on right-wing extremism and to publish a memo that addresses her concerns about the rise of hate groups and anti-government militias in a manner that will be both the service to law enforcement and refrains from painting half of America as extremist. While I firmly believe that this memo represents nothing more than a colossal screw-up on the part of our President and the Secretary, my final reassurance to Dottie is that if I am wrong and the government ever decides to come after her for her views, then they're going to have to come after me also. And I yield back.
Mr. DeFazio.